Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooter's gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I won, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. Grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one.
Is this thing on? What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We're going to start the stream off with questions that came through via email as we filter some people in here. I know it's a beautiful spring night, so we'll see how many folks we get in here. Right off the bat, though, I got a great question about TRT protocols. And this is like, I don't know, one of the most commonly asked questions regarding TRT. Because I think, look, dialing in libido on TRT or in general really usually is about hormone balance. It's about two things. It's about removing offending things that may be contributing to libido loss that are affecting brain chemistry and neurotransmitters. But secondly, it's about hormones. And then on TRT, I think the common misconception out there is that you can go on TRT and just kind of get some protocol prescribed from a clinic or your doctor, and that's going to solve erection and libido issues. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, because protocols then have to be dialed in. It would be really wonderful if all of us responded like the same way to a cookie cutter protocol, right? I mean, the clinics like to think that way, which is why they prescribe 200 milligrams and, 0.5 milligrams Nastrozole once a week. But not everyone responds well to that, right? You get acne, you get overstimulated, you have sleep problems, your libido never really gets better. Either because you're crushing estradiol or, it's actually going too high. It all depends on how much you aromatize. So this is a good question. The best protocols that I have personally found. All right, so let's break this down by ester. Okay, we'll break it down by ester. For testosterone cypionate and testosterone enanthate. Now this is, again, protocols for libido. And the most significant driving factor in a TRT protocol relative to libido is estradiol, right? It's where estradiol is, right? Far above range, libido goes away, so do erections. Far below range, libido disappears almost worse. Erections might be fine, they may not be. It's hit or miss. So estradiol has to be in the right spot. On long esters, like testosterone cypionate and testosterone enanthate, the best protocols I found for libido are pretty low dosing the test, and that's like in the 100 to 130 milligram range. And then having HCG at the very least 1,000 IU a week. And that is usually a bolus injection. Okay, you could split that up into two 500 IU injections every 3.5 days if you want to. As far as injection frequency goes, on 100 to 130 of CYP or enanthate, really runs the gamut. Some men are going to need bolus, injections or bolus concentrations of testosterone at once in order for libido to be good, as well as, sure, estradiol is going to peak in day 2, day 3, but then it's going to trough. So some guys do better on once a week because in that trough period, they have a great libido. And then even if estradiol rises on the subsequent injection, like the next week, well, their tissues aren't overly saturated with estradiol, right? And then, there's after estradiol or estrogen binds to estrogen receptors, so it's like transcriptional activity and changes that happen, genetic changes that happen. And so if that's not happening at large scale for 60% of the week, they can inject again a somewhat bolus and then they're fine. Estradiol does go above range, but it will come back down and largely libido's fine. It may be great for 4.5 days and pretty good for 3 days or 2.5 days, which a lot of people are going to definitely accept. Okay. So generally speaking, the best TRT protocols with longer esters are the test between 100 and 130 milligrams. This is what I've seen. There are outliers, of course. And HCG at 1,000 IU minimally a week, sometimes 2,000 IU. It really all depends on how the person aromatizes. Either split up, if it's 1,000 IU, 500 Monday, 500 Wednesday evening or something like that, or Thursday would be fine. And the reason that those protocols in my client work have been the best regarding libido is because people really don't need to manage estradiol all that much. They might need to throw in like a very micro dose of Arimidex or Aromacin. Maybe they can take some zinc calcium D-glucarate to get away with it. Grapeseed extract. There's all these other, mild aromatase inhibitors that actually do inhibit aromatase. So that's what works the best. Now, switching to shorter esters, like let's just say testosterone propionate. This is a weird one, okay? This stuff is real weird because, on the web, you're going to find a lot of people respond to lower dose prop, and it's hard to explain exactly why. Probably because the peak is so substantial and so fast, they're getting elevated testosterone levels pretty quickly, right, with testosterone propionate. And so that is creating a test estrogen ratio, which is libido favorable for that individual. Okay. So, I mean, in terms of doses, that's like the 10 to 15 milligram range of testosterone propionate a day. You know, usually people are dosing that a day or every other day. I personally found the best libido on testosterone propionate at 25 milligrams a day with minimal management of estradiol. Sure, I could like dose it lower and then estradiol would sort of fall in range, but the androgen load for me feels better. It's better for muscle building. I'd rather have that extra androgen load and then manage estrogen a little bit with, again, a little bit of an AI. Sometimes I really don't even need it. It all really depends. Anyway, though, for those of you interested, I'm changing my protocol back to NNT because I'm getting tired of the post-injection pain, right? And I ran NNT for a brief period back in the day. I liked it, and I know protocols that work for longer esters. And again, it's going to be a lower dose, pretty high dose HCG, so I still retain a good degree of anabolism, but I really don't have to manage estrogen. You have to understand that, you know, if you can, without taking an AI, get the estradiol in a favorable, libido favorable range, you're ultimately gonna function better sexually, right? In most cases. And that is because AIs are just tricky to, first of all, get the estradiol between 20 and 28, you know, whatever your range is. That's usually the range for folks, and then keep it there, right? Because it rebounds at day 3. By day 6, it's almost back where it was. By day 7, probably back where it was or maybe above, right? So, you know, the frequency is a little hard for people to pin down. So, Elwin, if you're watching, dude, you know, on the longer esters between 100 and 130 milligrams, between 1,000 of test, 1,000 to 2,000 IU per week of HCG, you know, frequency runs the gamut. And then on the shorter esters, fucking runs the gamut as well. You know, for testosterone cream, I had remarkable, insatiable libido and erections on 5 pumps of 200 milligrams per milliliter a day. Mild management of estradiol, again, microdosing and anastrozole at that point. All right, next question. Nick Casanano is asking, what's the best strategy for all-day energy? That is a good question because that's come on my radar recently because your boy was making some mistakes in his diet, particularly with sweets, like bringing sweets in, like, because I've been doing a lot of walking. I've been doing a lot of cardio. Look, I work out every day. And, you know, sugar's addicting, right? Sugar can get you to the point where if you start eating it, you want to continue eating it, and you're just sort of looking forward to that. And then you need 3 to 5 days of not eating it until you get not addicted to it anymore. So, you know, I was eating, let's just call it some sugary stuff after breakfast, after a workout, like 11 a.m., and then some sugary stuff about 6 p.m. And that was fucking with my energy. I'm like, why is it that like at 8 p.m. or so, when I normally could do a live stream or like feel like really peak all day, just like working all day. I got 2 companies to run. There's a lot of shit going on. I'm going on walks. I'm dating. There's a lot going on. What is happening where my energy is kind of getting a little wacky later? And it turns out, you know, I removed the sugar that I had gotten into a small little phase of eating, and fucking the energy's back. So the answer to the question is like so many things have to be in line for you to have all day energy, pretty much all day. I swear to God to you, okay? Like, this isn't no exaggeration because I'm a YouTuber and I want you to, like, it will invalidate the stuff I say or our content if I don't have energy all day. I have energy pretty much all day from the moment I wake up till 10 o'clock where I still have energy. Okay. So, I mean, for me, TRT protocol dialed in, real foods diet, you know, recently cut out sugar. I still eat carbs. I will never not eat carbs, but just refined sugar. I just cut that out. And that was another inch up to feeling really great all the time. I usually nap during the day. Okay, so this I think is a big contributor to energy in the evening. I nap for an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 40 minutes. It all really depends on my schedule. I mean, I'm doing a good bit of cardio. Predominantly though, real food. That's a huge thing. You know, my snack around 11 noon now is just a fucking salad with some chicken. It's actually amazing. And Italian dressing. It's old school, traditional Italian, you know, cuisine. And I love it. I grew up on Italian dressing and salads with cucumbers and stuff. And so that's kind of it. So it's a variety of all those things, but at the same time, nothing offending. You know, do you have long COVID? Do you have a condition from the you know what? That's fucking with your energy and causing inflammatory response because of microclots. You know, are you taking a medication that's causing fatigue? Are you not hydrating properly? You know, people think like just water is you know, in my history, I've overhydrated because I was a runner back in the day, and that just messes with serum electrolytes. So there's so many things that go into it, but testosterone straight, sleep at night at least 7 hours, a nap during the day if you can fit it in. Real foods is going to take you a long way. What's up, Trey? Hope you're doing great. Is today Thursday? Am I all fucked up here? I think today's Wednesday, bro. I don't know. I think I got something tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure tomorrow's Thursday. All right, relentless. Let's get to some questions. Good questions from Nick and Elwin. You guys can email me ryan@livecortex.com if you want those questions to be put on the air, and I will get to them if I can. If I don't, the math has beaten me. All right. Why does long-term pramiracetam use? I'm thinking you're saying because that could be pramipexole. Always put the whole thing because we want to just sort of warn against using like street drug what's the word for it? Like breakdowns or something like shortened versions. Like people say that oxiracetam is oxy, and that's a fucking street drug. So but I think you're saying pramiracetam cause depression. Okay, why does long-term pramiracetam used for depression and bipolar causing fatigue over many years? Probably because you have too much acetylcholine signaling. That is acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter, is a tightly controlled chemical in the brain. Too much, you have problems, usually fatigue. Too little, you have memory issues, but not usually fatigue, right? So this is why I've always over the years suggested not to dose cholinergics entirely too high. Because people read the studies and like, oh, 500 milligrams or 300 milligrams of alpha GPC. Those are in Alzheimer's patients typically. Oh my God. Hydration, boys. Very critical. So the way to eliminate that is to lower the dose or remove it completely. You got too much choline signaling and your brain doesn't like it. Trey is taking teacrine 5 days a week and caffeine 2 days sustainable. Absolutely. I'd be taking stuff 7 days a week. I think that's fine. The only compounds that you don't want to be taking, Trey, every day, just consistently would be racetams. Look, modafinil is a narcoleptic drug, narcoleptic drug. So it's made to be taken every day, and you can take it every day, and it's studied to be taken every day. But do you really want, to inhibit the projection of dopamine over time, which you will do by inhibiting the reuptake? No, right? So you want to take a break from that. Racetams, you should definitely cycle, not because they're going to be deleterious to your health or organs, because they're not. Proven, right? Liver tox studies have been done on aniracetam and oxiracetam in the elderly, which you'd think be more susceptible to, toxic effects on organs. No effects whatsoever. But because ultimately you're going to develop tolerance for racetams if you continue taking them. All of the research chemicals, with the exception of 9-MeBC, should not be taken daily. PRL 853, IDRA 21. 9-MeBC can be taken daily for 20 to 50 days if you're running a cycle, but otherwise not sustainable daily, particularly because we don't know much about what may happen if someone's taking 9-MeBC for years. That's like that's guinea pig stuff. People who would be able to tell you that. I'm sure people have ran that. There's a guy on Reddit that ran cerebrolysin for, I don't know, fucking 100 days, some crazy number. He's fine and only positives to report, but you just never know. So I think you're fine with that stuff. Roberto, general question. What's the time frame for increases and decreases of estradiol after starting or stopping TRT or HRT? Say 10 points, 40 to greater than 30. Time frame for increases and decreases of estradiol after starting and stopping. So like if you start 150 milligrams a week with 1,000 IU of HCG, the estradiol is going to increase between 10 and 30 points on day 3. Okay. Day 3 of injection. That estrogen is going to, be created from the testosterone that you're injecting. The pharmacokinetics of the longer esters in terms of estradiol, our estrogen is going to peak day 2 through day 4, 5, could be even 6. It really depends on how much you aromatize, how you're metabolically clearing estradiol out of the urine, among other places. So if you get off of HRT, so like if you're on TRT and estrogen is sitting at 45 or something, and you take, like I've run experiments where I let the estradiol go, tested the estradiol, was at 42, because again 35 to 45 is where mine goes if I don't touch it. And then I did not inject anything for 5 days. And my estradiol surprisingly had gone down to like 30 something, 32, like low 30s from 45. So very quickly, if you just take a 5-day break, this is useful for people, by the way, that's estradiol is too high. Just take a 3-day break from injecting. It will absolutely go down, right? 5 points, 10 points, may end you in the libido sweet spot. You're probably gonna have better libido in that area. Doesn't mean you need less testosterone. or your dose is wrong, it means you need less estradiol. So very, very quickly would be the answer to all of this. Yeah, very, very quickly it happens. Especially, I mean, again, depending on how fast you metabolize, very, very quickly. You know, if your body's working like a fucking well-oiled machine, then you're going to be urinating out and wasting out estradiol, basically, you know, in the days to come. Matt, hi Ryan, I'm new to your channel. Welcome. Suggested buddy of mine, would you be able to explain what's going on when developing PSSD from trazodone, antidepressant, antidote matter all in the brain? Yeah, look, I mean, all of these compounds are highly serotonergic, which in the acute period is prolactogenic and is going to raise prolactin and inhibit gonadotropin release, which is going to almost completely inhibit testosterone synthesis. At the same time, so that's like primary problem number one. You know, if prolactin ends up being in range sometime down the line, like there are changes that take place in the limbic system, in the hypothalamus, I think relative to tubuloinfundibular dopamine neurons, that then you've got to go work on in order to resolve sexual problems from high prolactin. In addition, though, SSRIs like initially boost neurosteroids. They like increase the synthesis of neurosteroids, which probably leads to a downregulatory effect on neurosteroids thereafter, after you get off, right? Usually the PSSD stuff happens when you get off. It can happen when you're on it because of excess fucking serotonin being prolactogenic and inhibiting dopamine firing as well as dopamine receptor activity. Okay. So largely it starts off neurological, but ultimately ends up in the, you know, series of chemicals and receptors that is the endocrine system, right? Testosterone, estradiol, prolactin. So that's the answer to that. You know, all of these compounds like are either straight SSRIs, meaning they inhibit the SERT, so they keep extra serotonin around, or they're SSRI, SNRI, they're inhibiting the reuptake of other neurotransmitters as well, which ultimately isn't good. I mean, you could take a dopamine reuptake inhibitor for a long time and you'll get sexual dysfunction from that because you're going to downregulate dopamine projection ultimately. So that's really the primary mechanism. First neurological, secondarily, you know, you have an endocrine disorder, which is hormones. The best way, you know, I've seen all kinds of things relative to PSSD and these types of conditions in terms of what gets people better. TRT, HCG, estradiol controlled, Cialis, a little bit of Cialis, 5-10 milligrams a day, better, right? TRT and a DHT derivative with some HCG with no AI can get people better, like Proviron, TRT, Proviron, HCG, maybe a little, you know, tadalafil. Runs the gamut. Like I've seen, oxandrolone be a critical component. Winstrol, okay? I mean, these are anabolic steroids that no one would ever think of in these cases. I've seen that stuff get people better. So it really does run the gamut. And, you know, I can't quite explain how DHT derivatives in these cases are making people better other than to say that, like, there's one paper that shows some of them may modify the androgen receptors in some way, which restores some of the androgen receptor binding domains. Okay, there's 3 binding domains on the androgen receptor, and they've actually been demonstrated to be upregulated and restored mutated androgen receptors from misterolone, which is an anabolic steroid. So hope that helps. Ryan is asking, how's the cerebral lysin cycle going? Do you use a filter, need to draw up the fluid, or do you need a filter? No filters whatsoever, going really well. I love it. I mean, it's it's a simple 2 milliliters injected intramuscularly every day. That's it. 20-day cycle. I think interestingly, post-injection of cerebral lysin, I want to do something cognitively intense, and that's usually getting on the gaming PC over here and playing Warzone or Modern Warfare. I honestly love cerebral lysin. Oh, pramipexole. Okay, so if that's causing fatigue, yes, pramipexole. See, this is why you got to specify. I went on a whole rant about pramiracetam. Pramipexole, just like cabergoline and other dopamine agonists, drugs that are also, I think, 5-HT2C receptor agonists or antagonists. I forget. It's modifying some, 5-HT series serotonin receptor, which is likely the cause of the fatigue. But those drugs, cabergoline and pramipexole and bromocriptine, all dopamine agonists, they can cause fatigue. Usually it's transient. You get used to it over time and your body changes, but also it could be lowering blood pressure. Yes, brother, Wednesday. Roberto, regarding questions in the chat. I already asked your question, I believe. Thanks for the super chat, though, brother. But if you want to super chat like a whole question, super chat the question within put the question within the super chat. Otherwise, you're cheating the system. DL Indo, Ryan, curcumin for good or bad for DHT? I don't know if there's an effect on DHT. Let me do like a live curcumin and DHT. Is there a connection there? Looks like it might lower it by being a 5-AR. When you see stuff like that, like you can't take it like, like that just means it's as powerful as finasteride or something. I mean, there's all kinds of affinity for that, strength basically for how powerfully curcumin can inhibit 5-alpha reductase. But it appears as if there is, curcumin and its analogs may have the ability to reduce the conversion of testosterone to DHT. Just something to think about. I never thought about that. I've taken curcumin before for inflammatory stuff. Never really did anything on the sexual side, but maybe something to consider for those of you thinking about it. Arca, is testosterone or DHT the best cure for social anxiety? Hard to say. Testosterone will help significantly in social context. I mean, dude, it's so bizarre because like you fuck with your protocol just to experiment or like letting the estradiol go. The craziest thing about estradiol, like in the context of a man that is dating and is around women, in my personal experience, but I don't think I'm alone in this, is that your fucking confidence goes down. Like when my estradiol will go above range, because I've run experiments on this, just because I don't like having to fucking mess with it. Like I have to, but I don't like, I just love to I'd love to inject once a month, bro, and never think about it again, but you can't do that. I get less confident around women. Like I'm confident because I know who I am, whatever, but maybe a little less. Like it's like less. Like I'm just a little less of that, in that masculine frame or whatever people say, all the dating gurus say. But so testosterone's really significant for that, man. I mean, dude, like that's the primary hormone that makes you a male, as well as masculinizes your behavior, predominantly via obviously androgens binding to androgen receptors. But what do those receptors end up doing once activated? Well, they affect neurochemistry. So that's ultimately, the end point is neurochemistry. You could probably modify that with nootropics, but yes, testosterone, which ultimately will convert to DHT, is a pretty goddamn good treatment for social anxiety, almost definitely. But as I've always said on this channel, another great treatment for social anxiety is not being around people that you don't like or aren't like you, Like, quick example. In this old city that I used to live in years ago, I owned this iPhone repair shop. It was like one of my first successful companies in 2009 or something. And I opened up this store on the corner right in the middle of this city. I didn't know anyone really in that city. I got to know people through customers coming in and fixing their iPhones with me. Eventually, God, how old was I? 26 or 27, 28, like that whole time period. The people that were my age and a little older, I got to know them because they came in to bring their iPhones in to get repaired at my shop. So I got to know them. Eventually, like, because I wanted a social life, and I also, like, people would be like, hey, look, come hang out. Like, one of them owned a German pub just down the street, like the popular fucking pub where everyone went. So I went in there and drank with them and met all the girls and met all the dudes and had a good fucking time to a large extent, largely because I was drinking while I was there. But I was out of my element, and there was a degree of social anxiety. And the reason there was social anxiety is because those people, bless their souls, they were good people, lacked substantive intelligence. Like, they were smart in their own ways, like fucking for sure. Probably do shit that I could never do. But they lacked a conversational intelligence above and beyond what was happening with the Eagles. You know what I mean? So in that context, I was uncomfortable. And I had social anxiety sometimes hanging out with those people because they didn't want to talk about neuroscience or achievement or productivity, which is all the stuff that I want to talk about in life, just one of those things. So don't be around people that aren't like you, that judge, that are judgy and that are cliquey, all that weird popular shit. Like, think back to I think back to high school and the kids that were like really popular, like I wanted to fit in with or be in with that. And I look at some of them, I've actually gone and find like what they do. And like, the guy is a fucking electrician, you know, maybe making some good money, but like he's done really nothing with his life. Like, you know, so those guys aren't the people to mirror. What do I think of Genius 2.0? Don't know about it. From Korea, a lot of my friends are using SARMs in Genius 2.0. Okay, interesting. That might be a SARM, I'm sure. I'm guessing. Roberto, what might 9-MeBC facilitate in terms of endocrine system? Well, optimizing dopamine is going to lower prolactin usually, which means more gonadotropin release and ultimately more testosterone synthesis. This is why, you know, people that go on NoFap have better sexual function after a month, because they stop masturbating and stop climaxing, therefore, and they stop releasing excess amounts of prolactin. And then, you know, luteinizing hormone can travel to the testicles kind of uninhibited, still in a pulsatile controlled fashion, but more uninhibited, and make you make more testosterone. So, if anything, the prolactin lowering effect will help the endocrine system in that way. Otherwise, in terms of sexual function, dopamine is very necessary for the reward part of being interested in sex. Good question, though. Samo is saying, I'm considering taking Bacopa Monterey with lion's mane. When will I feel like experimenting? When? What? I don't know what your question is here, and how you have a secondary question. But Bacopa is pretty effective to take daily. 300 to 600 milligrams. You can go as far as 2 grams if you really want to. It really depends on how it affects you. Not much of an acute effect right away, but over time, Bacopa really starts to show itself in being effective for brain performance. Like, you're just going to notice, oh, my memory's a little better. Oh, like I'm a little more verbally fluent. I just feel a little more energized. Like my brain's just working fucking better. It's because it's making you make more axons and dendrites between neurons for neurons to better communicate and send impulses. Bacopa is the OG of nootropics. It's one of the most... It's like this one of the safe. It's absolutely positively safe. As safe. It's one of the most well studied. It goes far back to Ayurveda, dude. Like, that's a nootropic from Ayurveda. They take it for a variety of reasons, mostly cognitive performance, though. All right. Bacopa is pretty epic. Lion's mane. I've had only positive experiences with lion's mane, but 2-3% of people, because it inhibits DHT to some extent. I don't really understand the affinity by which, like, or for which it has on the 5AR in terms of inhibition, but it can, and that can tip the scales negatively for people that already have deranged endocrine systems or neurological systems, where you end up, you know, having sexual dysfunction. So for me personally, lion's mane felt like a cholinergic. Like, it just gave me energy and my memory was better, you know. And I would, the first time I dosed lion's mane, I ran a cycle of it. I remember, like, I don't know, for the first time in many years, I was thinking about some shit from my childhood, like good things, like hanging out with this kid Mike, skateboarding, and this like kind of skate park thing that we made. I hadn't thought about that in years. Is that coincidence, or did lion's mane, you know, connect some neurons so that, you know, to access like some of my long-term memory, my reference memory? And I started thinking about shit from 20 years ago. Definitely weird. Brother. Sean Stevens. Any way to get around tadalafil acid reflux? It's a hard one, bro. I mean, yeah, you're because you are relaxing smooth muscle tissue via phosphodiesterase 5 inhibition. That also can happen in your lower esophagus, which takes the LES, the lower esophageal sphincter, and also relaxes it. So when it's relaxed, well, then reflux, that's your reflux barrier primarily. I mean, there's other things, but that's the primary reflux barrier. If it's relaxed because it's tadalafil, well, then reflux is, you know, going to just kind of end up upwards. Look, there's a variety of things. For actual acidic reflux, honestly, baking soda is probably the most effective thing that you can do. You know, half a teaspoon or so of baking soda in water, chug the whole thing. You'll probably burp a little bit, and then almost definitely your reflux is going to be a lot better. Some people swear by apple cider vinegar. Some people, it makes them substantially worse. Okay. In this case, I don't think it's a hydrochloric acid deficiency. So you wouldn't want to take betaine HCl or stomach acid, because it'd probably fucking make it worse in that case. I would honestly stick with the very tried and true and simple and baking soda in that particular condition. But yeah, I mean, tadalafil, that it's happened to me where I've gotten reflux or reflux-like symptoms from tadalafil, but it only happened in the beginning of each cycle of tadalafil. Like if I, you know, take a cycle off and then start running 5 milligrams a day again, okay, I get a little bit, right? You know, if for consecutive days in a row, I run 10 to 20 or something, for that extra fucking what, then yeah, it might be somewhat pronounced, but then it would tend to go away. I don't really stay at those doses anyway. So your best bet is honestly baking soda, and seeing if over time it goes away, because all of the side effects with tadalafil, with me personally, and I think this is the experience of a lot of other men as well, have gone away completely. I don't notice it whatsoever. The only thing I do notice is being very vascular at the gym, which I like. I mean, I'm vascular anyway. I'm Italian, all right? I'm Italian. You can't see it. You can't see it. Yes, I do still take flush niacin, just not every day. I run cycles of it where I'm taking it consistently, and then life gets busy, or at 8 in the morning, I've got a meeting, I've got stuff to do, and I don't want to be red as fucking maroon carpet in your favorite porn star's living room. Not my thing, brother. Okay, any other questions? If you guys got them, ask them. Right now, I've got maybe 6 slots left on coaching. So large scale coaching programs for serious entrepreneurs and business people that have the budget, that understand issues that are related to sexual function, erectile function, neurotransmitter function, dopamine, take time, and they're serious about getting this stuff fixed. Book me livecortex.com. Links are down in the description below. I'm booked more than I ever have been, which the company has been growing and whatever, like each year we're growing year over year, but like this year's pretty crazy, boys. So if you need to book, you got to book me livecortex.com. You guys got questions, post them. In the beginning, we talked about protocols for TRT that are best for libido. If it's a long ester, between 100 and 130 milligrams is where I've seen people find a better sweet spot for libido. And with some HCG, 1,000 to 2,000 IU a week, split up usually, but still bolus injections at a time. Frequency runs the gamut on tests. The reason this is most effective, I think, and judging by labs, is estradiol falls in a reasonable range. That's it. And it's like, maybe there's something to say for people that like their prime libido and sexual function prior to TRT was them at 650 or 750, and estradiol at 21. Well, then they get there, with a protocol of 100 to 130 milligrams of a long ester, a little bit of HCG, enough HCG, and then, they're basically back there. For me, long esters, if I'm on higher doses, I've got to inject less frequently so that there's a break of estradiol. Like I can manage estradiol, not manage estradiol. I'll get estrogen side effects aside from sexual dysfunction. If estradiol goes over range, mainly mood disorder shit, which I really don't fucking like. I don't retain a whole lot of water in that case, but usually throw in a little bit of AI to get that estradiol back down in my range. But if I'm injecting less frequently, every 4th day, every 5th day, which is a good sweet spot for guys, by the way, 100 milligrams every 5th day, 120 every 5th day, estradiol doesn't stay constantly elevated. So with long esters, really runs the gamut. I also, though, took my cypionate dose down, like for 6 weeks or so, to, it was like 112 or something at one point, and some HCG in there, and I didn't really have to touch estradiol at all. So, but I lost anabolism at that point, like to a degree enough where I was like, God, I don't really like that, among other things. And so, it all really depends. But yeah, for the longer esters, 100 to 130 milligrams for most guys. I'm not, I know there are anomalies, and I know there's going to be people that actually need to be injecting 200 milligrams 100 twice a week, or fucking 200 milligrams at once. No AI, no nothing. They do fine. Everybody's body's different, but that's generally the answer to that question. Galantamine versus 9-ABC, what's the difference? Galantamine is a cholinesterase inhibitor, which will make you accumulate more acetylcholine in your brain, which will give you some focus and memory benefits for 2 to 6 hours or so. 9-MeBC is a research chemical that is studied for alleviation of symptoms of Parkinson's disease, where you restore genetic activity for dopamine neuron generation, and you foster dopamine neuron differentiation, which is like basically maturity of dopamine neurons. You upregulate the synthesis of dopamine via optimizing dopamine synthesis enzymes long term with 9-MeBC. So vastly different, because they're working on different neurotransmitters, and galantamine is very acute. The effect goes away between 6 and 8 hours completely, whereas 9-ABC, you're making longer term changes. You know, you're trying to restore dopamine function for the next 6 months, a year onward. It's actually unclear because we don't have any papers on that. So they're two different drugs completely. One thing I will say about, and also you shouldn't, it's like galantamine, yeah, you could take 3-4 days a week. 9-ABC, you probably could get away with that, but you really should only use 9-ABC in a restorative capacity. You know, if you're trying to restore dopamine, you use 9-ABC in that targeted way. That's the difference between those drugs. Any other questions, guys? If you got them, ask them, post them, and I'll get to them. Those of you that just jumped in, hope you're great. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. Hope the weather's great. Weather's been incredible here. Actually, it hasn't. It's been raining, and then now it's back to cool. Last night in the middle of the night, bro, huge thunderstorm. Apparently, tornado rolled through here. I don't know where it hit. Thunderstorm didn't wake me up, nor people I talked to about it. The fucking phone alerts did. The phone alert, dude. I jumped, and my cat spring jumped off out of my bed. On the bed, the alert goes off on my phone, like that. It's like the Dumb and Dumber most annoying sound. My cat springs out of my bed, and we both just got a bunch of leverage, just a lot of fucking leverage from that. But the cool part about it was between 2 a.m. and maybe 2:30, 2:45, there was a huge thunderstorm and lightning was striking literally outside. For about 20 minutes, I was listening to it, getting a little concerned. And lightning striking, bro. I mean, dude, like, you know, you measure the distance between the lightning strikes and where you are based on, you know, the thunder, and then or the flash, and then how quickly you hear the thunder, right? In miles, in seconds, right? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You got lightning. 2 seconds later, you have a thunder. It's 2 miles away, roughly. This shit was lightning, boom, like seconds, bro. Like seconds. Like it was hitting not just Pittsburgh, but in my borough. Lightning strikes were hitting in my borough. So that was kind of cool to sit between 2 p.m., 2:20, 2:40, whatever, and listen to lightning strikes and have like my whole bedroom was just lit up. My cat was scared, but then I eventually got kind of tired of it and I went back to sleep. And that was it. What's funny about the whole ordeal is the storm itself did not wake me up. It was the goddamn alert on my phone. The Dumb and Dumber most annoying sound ever. It's like, it's the craziest sound, which I understand that they got to make a crazy sound in order to wake people up from their deep sleep, to let them know that, you know, about a storm that's really usually never going to do anything except for be a goddamn nuisance, bro. Did I miss any questions? I don't think so. Back to all day energy. Yeah, I mean, God, it's so crazy because I was eating, like, you know, somewhat of a sugary food twice a day. It'd be like around 11 a.m. and then it'd be like after dinner, right? Like just a great fucking sugary food that I like. And because I lift weights, sugar doesn't mess with my blood sugar much. It doesn't, you know, my hemoglobin A1C is always very perfect and it just stays there over the years. I've always had a really great kind of insulin response, blood sugar response. However, I noticed an energy deficit and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like at certain points in the day. And I removed that sweet thing, which I don't regret because whatever, it's better for me, but I just love like sweet things, like when I want them. And that energy deficit, like at certain times of the day, fucking went away, which I think is interesting. Jofu Gaming says, does TRT typically have an effect on heart rate variability? Maybe. When let me just put it this way. On longer esters, on doses above 140, my heart rate goes from 60 to 65, you know, maybe 70, but it's not always 70. It usually just bottoms back out at 65, 63, whatever. On lower doses of a long ester, 110, 120, 130 or something with enough HCG to be adequate for sexual function and testicular function and libido, my heart rate is 55, 60. It's just always there. So yes, TRT is going to likely via catecholinergic action in the brain change your heart rate. Also, though, if estradiol is too high, well, I mean, then you're not doing any favors to the cardiovascular system, despite the conversation that estradiol is cardioprotective. It is to an extent. It's actually cardio, I wouldn't call it destructive, but cardio inhibitory, not great for the heart past a certain range. So in that regard, you might have elevated heart rate. Yeah. Saying, hey, Ryan, any ideas on nootropics or supplements to alleviate constant anxiety? Currently using Wellbutrin at 300, propranolol at 10 milligrams, but they have no effects. Thanks as always. Something's causing it. That's the bottom line. The context would help. I know a girl, okay? It was this girl that I dated for on and off for probably about, I want to say 6 months, who's basically just a friend. She lives far away. Her and I really wouldn't work in a dating capacity for a variety of reasons. I still keep in contact with her every now and then. She recently told me she's on tirzepatide, right? Or one of them. I think it's tirzepatide. One of these weight loss peptides. And she hadn't correlated the two, but she's like, I recently had to get on Xanax. So I started having fucking panic attacks. She's like, oh, I guess I'm just 45 and this is like life. And I'm like, no, that's not, 45-year-olds don't get panic attacks for no reason. It's probably the weight loss drug, the weight loss peptide that you're taking. And so all matter of, and almost definitely it is, because then I went and looked it up and looked at some of the neurological effects and some of the neurotransmitter cascades. And yeah, it definitely has a mechanism by which it can cause anxiety. So you got to look at there's a cause. What is the context of your situation? Are you taking one of those peptides? Are you smoking pot? Do you drink a lot? And in between drinking is where you have the anxiety. There's so many fucking reasons, man. Did you get the what? Or did you have long COVID? That'll cause it. That'll cause MCAS and all kinds of weird, syndromes. And your response to that may be anxiety. At the same time, there's like autonomic nervous system dysfunction associated with that stuff, with both the thing and the thing, the real thing and the whatchamacallit thing. So, so many different causes to that. You really got to get into what might be causing it. Because a person that is generally healthy and doesn't have neurotransmitter imbalances should not have anxiety. Should just not have that. Andrew, follow up on heart rate question. Does TRT affect heart rate variability? Which is the variability between heartbeats? Yes. No. Oh yeah. Right. So heart rate and potentially heart rate variability. I don't know. I haven't studied it. I don't know. I think if testosterone is changing the pace, at which your heart beats or the space between beats, in some way that is measurable. Yeah, you probably want to look at getting an echo and see what's wrong with your heart, because testosterone should not be doing that. Yeah. What has changed? Trying to think if there's anything that has changed heart rate variability in my experience. There was a dopamine agonist that I fussed with called bromocriptine that changed my heart rate variability. Interestingly, taking estradiol below, I like sub 15 picograms per milliliter will fuck with my heart rate variability and generally make me feel very unwell. So a host of things can do that, but TRT really shouldn't be doing that. If it is, it's likely benign unless you have some other thing in your regimen or some, potentially a heart condition or something in your regimen or something in your physiology that's really not a heart condition, but that is contributing to heart rate variability differences in the presence of elevated testosterone. Also, though, TRT isn't TRT. What's your dose? Maybe you need to lower it. Thoughts on BPC 157? I think it's great. I've injected it subcutaneously on site for injuries many times over the years, and it has always fucking helped. Always helped in cases where for 2-3 weeks nothing would happen. I would have to deload at the gym or just not use whatever was injured, like at some substantial capacity. BPC 157 is great, in my opinion. It has never induced any type of anhedonia in me. I'm not sure what the mechanism would be for that. You got to remember that these stories on the web are usually contextless, so we don't know what else was in these people's regimen that BPC interacted with or whatever. We don't know what their doses were. People take advice on Reddit and start fucking injecting way more than you should for injuries. Or, I don't know, or they're injecting it the wrong way. They're not injecting it on site, sub-Q or intramuscular. They're fucking taking it orally or whatever. And look, intranasal administration probably be effective, but, tried and true always works. So you don't even know what people are doing in that regard. Otherwise, though, I think BPC 157 is one of the most impressive peptides there are for repair. And it's a shame that now certain compounding pharmacies, certain clinics through compounding pharmacies can't prescribe it. It's just fucking dumb. Now it's a peptide. You can still buy it as a peptide, on peptide sites, but now like some companies can't prescribe BPC 157. It's like, okay, give it a break. And interestingly, if you look at the rationale behind that from the FDA's perspective, there's BPC and like a bunch of other peptides, and every single one of them goes unknown potential immunogenic responses. It's the same copy and paste verbatim response for their rationale for limiting it. Like, in other words, they're full of fucking dog shit, and it's getting in, it's getting in the way of someone's revenue somewhere, or they want to capitalize in it, like they're doing on the weight loss peptide. So who knows? I think it's one of the craziest peptides ever, and I think it's awesome. If only it made you more anabolic. Sam, is there any nootropic that doesn't work for you? Seems like you can feel the effects of most. Nootropics that have never worked? No, I've always felt an effect from some effect, whether it was a side effect because the dose was too high or it was right because the dose was right for me. Any nootropics that, there are nootropics that, like, listen, you always have to think about the dosage of nootropics and the effects that you get in the context of your situation. As an example, if I unknowingly, because I didn't know, like if I just didn't know this, was taking 5-HTP, just because I thought I needed more serotonin, because you can't measure that, you only can guess. And then I learned about tyrosine, started taking 300 to 700 milligrams tyrosine, and I was and then I got no effect. I might think this nootropic tyrosine doesn't work for me, but really, tryptophan and tyrosine compete for conversion and for synthesis, for uptake. So maybe the tryptophan was outcompeting the tyrosine, and that's why. Remove the 5-HTP, problem solved. So you always have to think about this in the context of your situation, and the more you know about neurology and fucking uptake and synthesis enzymes and what competes with what might inhibit what neurotransmitter that is, like overfiring or overactive may inhibit another neurotransmitter, the more you're going to be able to make informed decisions about what to do in response to a nootropic that you think isn't working that probably you could fix. So no, for me, I haven't really noticed any nootropic that didn't work. I've just noticed either side effects as the dose was too high, or it worked really great, or mild effects because the dose was too low. That's pretty much it. God, yeah. There are subtle nootropics that you really don't acutely feel, like Bacopa is one of those, which we talked about before. Over time, you just notice your brain's functioning better. You're a little more verbally fluent. You're snappier. Your memory's better. You're kind of more awake over time with Bacopa. But it's not an acute effect that gives you some sort of brain performance like the moment that you take it. And there are a couple other nootropics for which that's the case. Not many, though. Many of them are like acutely affecting you pretty positively. Even Piracetam. There's 7 different racetams for all intents and purposes, but piracetam is the granddaddy. It is the most studied, and it's the root from which all the other racetams were chemically created, modified from. Piracetam is epic. Like just that racetam. Don't need to even go into aniracetam, oxiracetam, phenylpiracetam, primiracetam, fasiracetam. If you don't want to. Phenylpiracetam hydrazide. You just stick with piracetam. BPC helps a ton with recovery and noticeable mood boost, but it went away with daily use. Yeah, so there's probably some sort of homeostatic regulatory response that is taking place in the brain that, change in response to your consistent dosing of it. That happens with racetams. There's like a tolerance thing that happens with some nootropic compounds, that happens with some dopaminergics. The brain is always going to prevent catastrophe, downregulate the response from certain stuff. Okay, we've got some consideration of Subroxy. What would be a good alternative? I think Subroxy is pretty great. It's a pretty effective compound. Believe a DRI. I think it'll keep some other neurotransmitters around as well. I ran a stint on it and did a video about it, so you should watch that video if you haven't watched it. It is within the last 6 months. If you could just search on the channel videos, scroll down, you'll see like a Subroxy video, pretty clear. Is choline bitartrate good for neurological? Yeah, choline bitartrate will be less acutely effective, but still will replenish choline levels. People think it's not effective because it doesn't instantly affect you in terms of brain chemistry or like an acute noticeable brain performance benefit. But you're still going to end up with more brain choline from using choline bitartrate, and it doesn't absorb so quickly that you get side effects. So you could get away with dosing it a little higher at a time. I think choline bitartrate's fine. In fact, it's my go-to usually with racetam. Second would be citicoline at low doses. James took BPC 157 and the pre-workout had little to no effect. That was 300 milligrams caffeine. What? That's crazy. Yeah, it might have been somehow desensitizing response to stimulants. I'm not sure. But again, there is like reparative action, growth hormone receptor activity, among other things, that is happening acutely in the presence of BPC 157. So how that is interplaying with, adenosine receptors or dopamine release in this case is unknown. It's unknown. It's not been studied. So, if that was an effect that happened, yeah, just don't take it. That's never happened to me. I've not noticed anything like that. I'm sure other people have, who knows, but never seen that. All right, boys, I'm going to end the stream. I got some stuff to tend to. Appreciate you guys being with me on a Wednesday evening. I hope you're enjoying the good weather, unless you're in fucking Antarctica or somewhere. I recently saw a documentary where the temperature in some place in Antarctica, or was it Alaska, is below, it's like between negative 30 and negative 60 or 90, like something atrocious, where people have to wear face coverings that are multiple layers deep to not get frostbite. How do you live like that? So if you're not living there, you're probably enjoying the spring. I know I am. I hope you are too. Much more content coming this week. Likely there'll be a new breakdown of either a compound or a topic tomorrow. So look forward to that. Live stream coming this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. All right. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, big long live stream. And then at 1 p.m., 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern time is Vigorous Steve's live stream. So Saturday is live stream day. Look forward to that. Otherwise, coaching slots, I've got 6 left for spring and summer. Like I'm almost completely booked. I'll have to shut them down. For those of you watching, if there's any of you watching that have the budget, need to work on something serious, understand sexual dysfunction, among other things, like dopamine restoration, take time and adjustments, bookmelivecortex.com. Those will be taken off of the website if I'm fully booked. People are going to fall off in the meantime or end, like the consultations will end or the coaching periods will end, and I might be able to book more people, but right now it's filling up crazily. All right, boys,